just the kind of government vehicles you see driving when a plane is about to land to come and pick government officers, or when a plane is about to take off. Normally the one that lands is the one that will take off with the people.
Absolutely.
When a big Kenya, and it can't be these small things, Kenya Airways, when Kenya Airways is about to land at Kisumu Airport, I walked and said, God, it is a poor third world country. Stop with immediate effect any of these useless things that go on in the name of seminars and workshops.
Facilitative allowances.
Naivasha and
Mombasa.
Stop.
All right.
When I'm on plane in Mombasa, you are perhaps the only person who is not going to eat government money.
I see.
Everybody on the plane is going to eat government money. In some sectors, in some government agencies, some parastatals, those parastatals can even make money.
All right.
I have said, if I was the vice chancellor of the University of Nairobi where I work, every year I will put in my savings 50 billion shillings. I can generate that. 50 billion
We will
and
see.
more.
We will see. And you're just in time for yet another edition of Business Glide here on Herman Manyora channel. My name is Richard Mwenja. Under the leadership, or rather stewardship, of Madam Lynn Mengich, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission has instructed all public institutions and agencies to submit data to the Commission on all allowances payable for review purposes as well as advisory purposes. Now this comes in the wake of a ballooning wage bill that stood at a whopping 893 billion Kenya shillings in the previous fiscal year. Now, in a bid to tame the wage bill, SRC has come up with a raft of measures which include freezing the review of basic salary structures, allowances and benefits for the next 2 fiscal years, which are to be negotiated through the collective bargaining agreements. Moreover, it has come with a draft policy statement on allowances that will see from April next year, civil servants will get a new set of allowances that are set to be fair, transparent, as well as affordable and sustainable for the exchequer. Now, is this a step towards the right direction for the country? I'm joined by none other than renowned public scholar Herman Manyora to dissect on this subject. Prof, welcome on set.
Thank you, Richard.
SRC's draft policy statement on benefits and allowances seek to have the basic salary account for 60% of the gross salary. Currently, basic pay stands at 40%. Now, do you feel increasing it to 60% will have a marginal impact on pension contributions?
Yeah, certainly. Since pension is based on the basic salary, if the basic salary goes up, then you expect the pension contribution to be higher, and therefore meaning when an employee leaves during retirement, they will get a lot more. Yes.
So it's a step towards the right direction.
So long as they don't achieve the 60 by reducing the allowances. You know, you can achieve 60 merely by tweaking the allowances. If you adjust the allowances downwards, if you remove certain allowances, then you look at the basic vis-a-vis the growth, then the basic will go up.
All right.
Percentage.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. SRC is saying in a bid to tame the wage bill, it has to do away with the numerous allowances. Currently, we have seen over the last 10 years, allowances rising from 31 to 247 in the public service, a really huge figure. Now, do you feel that the argument that allowances are less controllable, thereby bringing a scenario of unpredictability in terms of their control, so reducing allowances will really make financial systems predictable in this country?
You know, what makes a public expenditure, the government expenditure on the public workforce, is usually allowances and other extraneous payments. So if you are to tame and people just get their salaries, you reduce the wage bill or the expenditure way below what it is by a good percentage. So it's a good idea. In many places, actually, the trend is to have no distinction between gross and basic. That's the trend. So that even here in this country, it's a global trend, but even here in this country, if you go to private sector, there are people you are just paid a salary. So it's good because then that contributes towards an employee's pension.
All right.
Yeah.
They are highly performing public institutions, which have in return, at least to motivate their workers, they have increased their allowances at least to be even over 100% of the basic pay. But now if we are to instruct that all public institutions to cap their allowances at 40%, aren't we being unfair to these employees under highly performing state agencies?
My considered opinion has always been, let there be a floor salary below which no government agency, below which no county can pay an employee of a certain cadre. But from that basic, from the lowest, that floor, let parastatals, let even counties pay salaries in a way, let them pay what they can afford. In other words, if you worked in Narok and they have the money they are raising from the game reserve and what have you,
True.
and you are a doctor and your counterpart is earning 160, you could earn 300 in Narok. There's nothing wrong with that.
All right.
I work with in a public university.
Absolutely.
If there is a university that can afford to pay 3 times what I'm getting, let them pay. So the idea is, especially for public entities that can generate income, like universities and others, let them generate income so that the extra money they are paying their employees should not be coming from the exchequer. You know?
All right. Among a pool of allowances in the public service, we have seen facilitative allowances profile themselves as the cash cow, whereby today if you visit, say, a state corporation, half the time you'll find the CEO is out of town in meetings. And you know, expenses such as these are facilitated by facilitative allowances. Now, why are growing appetite in making sure facilitative allowances are paid in high tunes? You find you're going for a seminar, instead of going 2 people, you've dragged an entire 30 members. Why are growing appetite in the public sector to make facilitative allowances a cash cow? And do you see SRC will really put its footprint in terms of guiding it?
You see what? That's what I'm saying. Instead of following a small person with their small house allowance or house to office allowance or whatever small allowance they make, instead of following them, why can't you stop these monies people go around with from one place, Mombasa, Naivasha, and there's nothing they're going to do there? We are the ones who go there as facilitators.
But they say benchmarking is vital.
There is nothing. What are they benchmarking? Today's world is so well networked. You don't need to go to New York to know what people are doing in New York. You just know when you are here. You don't need to go to Israel to know the farming. You know when you are here. Because the world today is not what it was when it was necessary for people to board the planes and go to UK, go to Israel. No. If you are in Muranga and you want to know what's going on in Vihiga, you don't need to go to Vihiga.
But you saw Kenya the other day submit a delegation of over 200 to the climate change summit.
Those are the stupid things we do, then we beg. You know, even this was Zungu, they just look at us and wonder, what's wrong with these people? So, excess meetings, they drag the civil service, public service from working. Excess seminars and workshops, they drain the exchequer of money that is needed to work elsewhere to create an environment that can make people create jobs. The government can use that money as a facilitative agent to be able to create good environment instead of putting it in the stomach of 1 or 2 people.
All right.
If I were the government, I'll put an end to all those things people go and do in Naivasha. Give me half a second to give this, because if Kenyans are watching us, this is supposed to be an educative program. Somebody dropped me at the Kisumu airport. I went a little earlier than my flight. So better earlier than late.
Yeah, true.
There is a restaurant at Kisumu outside where you can sit outside. There are chairs there and have your cup of tea. And I met other people and we were chatting there. This is a small airport, so you see all vehicles coming. Just the kind of government vehicles you see driving when a plane is about to land to come and pick government officers. Or when a plane is about to take off. Normally the one that lands is the one that will take off with the people.
Absolutely.
When a big Kenya, and it can't be these small things, Kenya Airways, when Kenya Airways is about to land at Kisumu Airport, I walked and said, God, it is a poor third world country.
Big cars.
Big vehicles dropping small people going to do useless things. And you know this, when you are poor, you are very stupid. we must end this. That's why I'm saying SRC should come up with strategies with the government. If it is going to work, I don't see what it does. Government should come up with clear strategies to tame waste. And one of those strategies, stop with immediate effect any of these useless things that go on in the name of seminars and workshops.
Facilitative allowances.
Naivasha and
Mombasa.
Stop.
All right.
When I'm on plane in Mombasa, you are perhaps the only person who is not going to eat government money.
I see.
Everybody on the plane is going to eat government money. We must stop that.
All right. Due to a slowdown in recovery of the economy orchestrated by adverse effects of COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen the SRC freeze the review of basic salary structures, allowances and benefits that are to be negotiated through CBS for the next 2 fiscal years. Don't you see that this will give wiggle room for corruption, now that these very same employees are expecting a pay rise perhaps, and now it's not going to happen, and also it will be a demoralizing factor? SRC
is a fraud, and there's nothing it is doing. To freeze salaries, they have even made CBA, they were giving it 4 years ago. Instead of the usual, is it 1 or 2 years? Now 4 years. Somebody has gone to court and it has been proved unconstitutional. To freeze salaries is unconstitutional. To say employees cannot negotiate for salary is unconstitutional. And I have had court to say about it, say that, because employees have a right, their rights contained in the Constitution 2010. A right to negotiate for salary, for fair employment, to picket, to go on strike. All these are enshrined in the Constitution. And they have to say you are freezing salaries. And even for SRC itself to come in when an employee is negotiating with their employer is unconstitutional. Because SRI is supposed to advise.
Yeah, true.
Instead, it has turned itself into a stumbling block for employees. The whole thing is not good.
But about the CBA issue, SRC is only saying, hey, employers, just be a little patient, and as at now we can only offer non-monetary CBS. Do you feel that that's too huge for you to crap?
How can a CBA be non-monetary? A CBA, like the useless one of nuts, the one of teachers, that's not a CBA. A CBA is about what goes to the worker.
It's saying the exchequer cannot meet obligations.
Which exchequer?
The National Treasury, pay rise obligations.
What we should be saying is, how do we make this a viable economy that can pay workers well? That's the discussion. That's the conversation.
All right.
How can you ensure KRA does not slip? That KRA raises the revenue it should raise, of course, with a rider, that it should not burden those who are already paying taxes by increasing.
I see.
Instead, it should have better ways of looking for the taxes. How can we ensure there are other ways of raising money in this country, for the government, other than taxes? That is the conversation.
All right.
Once we have had that conversation and we raise, instead of the current 1.8 projected trillion as revenue, we raise this to 4 trillion. Then we should be talking about doubling people's salaries.
I see.
Them.
All right.
Yeah.
Though yet to sail through, a draft bill has been submitted to all county assemblies, which seeks to have governors, retired governors, or rather former governors, their deputies, and county assembly speakers have a lump sum package as retirement security. And this is to be facilitated by taxpayers. Now, do you see that this bill will sail through in the fullness of time, in as much as SRC has said county assemblies don't have their mandate to push through such remuneration packages?
You know, the law, I've looked at that. I don't know, because I'm not a lawyer really. I don't know where the county assemblies will get the power.
They don't have the powers, true.
They don't have the powers. But if they were to change strategy and bring it at the national level, at Senate or something like
Parliament.
that, whether it will pass or not will depend on contingencies of the time. If it will be something that will make Uhuru have his way in elections, it could pass.
Really?
But the question you must ask yourself, an economy that has received the beating ours has received, an economy that is doing as bad as ours, a country in which almost half the population goes to bed hungry, an economy with a collapsed healthcare system, an economy where education is not affordable, how can the leaders seek to be going home with millions of shillings when they retire after a short time? How can they seek the kind of things they are seeking? It is immoral.
All right.
You can have your way. You can bulldoze your way because of the politics of the day. But it is immoral. In fact, if you look at that bill, you can laugh. Some of the provisions in that bill regarding even spouses, that if you die, then your spouse takes over. Where does this work in the world? You know, poor people keep calling us poor.
Our leaders are saying they're overworking.
What are they? Overworking, eating the money. They are stealing. There's nothing they are doing.
But you advise them. Then why do you advise them in the first place?
We keep hoping.
All right.
Yeah.
I see.
Minus hope, man is finished.
All right. Much as SRC is trying to tame the wage bill, we have seen the subject of ghost workers in public service become a nightmare over time. Now, how do we critically address this subject in the fullness of time?
You see, about the workforce, first of all, there's an exaggeration. Head count is always a sham. They are ghost workers.
Absolutely.
Certainly.
True.
So we give companies to do that audit and pay them millions, and then we are back where we started. In my thinking, once we get rid of the ghost workers, it's not a question of a bloated workforce. My thinking is, can we make these people productive? You get it?
Absolutely.
Instead of retrenching people, instead of saying we have too many employees, let's sit down and ask ourselves, let's have a conversation. Can we redeploy people? Can we retrain them? You retrain, you redeploy, and in the process, can we make these people productive? In fact, in some sectors, in some government agencies, some parastatals, those parastatals can even make money.
All right.
I have said, if I was the vice chancellor of the University of Nairobi where I work, every year I will put in my saving 50 billion shillings. I can generate that, 50 billion.
Come 2022 or 2027.
Correct.
We'll wait to see. Well, that point by Herman Manyora takes us to the wrap of our conversation today here on Business Glide. But before we leave, today we go to Australia in a place called Adelaide, where we get our fan of the week by the name Brenda Kimei.
Brenda Kimei, how is Australia? We greet you from Kenya, and we are happy that you are able to watch us all the way from Australia. Thank you very much. Pass our greetings and ask people to subscribe.
Well, that takes us to the close of our conversation today, touching on matters to do with wage bill and what the National Treasury with agencies such as SRC need to do with regards to really getting hold of our economy and how it's progressing in the fullness of time. Until next time on Business Glide, my name is Richard Mwenja, but also remember to stay glued to the African proverb of the day. See you then.